So I'm recording this off my phone right now. I haven't made a video like this in a long time, honestly, and I'm excited. Today we're gonna be hitting legs. And it's also gonna be kind of like an odd kind of thing because we're also gonna be doing my talking videos. So it's gonna be the lift, and then I'm gonna just start yapping about something. The title's pretty self-explanatory. If not, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of everything. But it's something new I want to try, see how everything goes. And yeah, hopefully it's a good lift. We're hitting legs. I might take a pre-workout, either C4. I recently got the C-Bum Raw Essentials, but I don't want to use it because it has a really good pump, and I don't really do pump checks for legs. My legs are not lean enough for that, but we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, I think it'll be a good lift. And I think what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna just show the first set, so I put the most emotion into it, but also I don't want to be recording all around the gym. And then I'll probably just put a voiceover if I need to say anything, but besides that, it'll just be it for that. So let's get into the lift. Look how majestic that light is. So good news, we're here. Bad news, I took too long taking a dump, and the gym closes in around 56 minutes. So that's going to ruin our leg day a little bit. I'm going to have to go really fast, but I guess it's whatever. We're going to have a good lift regardless. And yeah, we're just going to hammer it. We're back home. It's kind of late right now. It's like 12 a.m., right? No, p.m. Going to a.m. Whatever. Uh, it kind of took me a long time trying to set this whole thing up because my mic wouldn't connect. And I tried to use my other camera that I spent like $150 on, but for some reason my phone is just better quality. Like, make that make sense. But okay. And these mics are trash too. I'm gonna have to get new mics, but that's not what I'm trying to talk about right now. I guess the question I'm trying to ask is that if you could go back, if you had the chance to relive everything and to do it twice, would you still make the same decisions that have led you down the path to this present day? That's the question I'm trying to uncover here. And in my opinion, if I reflect on that answer, it would be yes. But with the more nuanced answer is maybe, because obviously I've made some decisions that would just better off have been not made. But I believe that those same decisions pretty much made me the person I am today. And I'm going to go in depth with that more. Let me put this here real quick. This is probably going to be better. Yeah, there we go. Because we make a lot of mistakes in life, right? And there's a lot of things that we regret in life as well. If you have zero regrets, kudos to you. But most human beings, as us being human, have regrets. I've made a lot of decisions that I'm not proud of, but I've also made a lot of decisions that I'm happy about because even though they weren't great at the time, I learned a lesson. And that's something important in life because we fail. We fear failure. We fear getting that no. We fear rejection. We fear a lot of things in life. And I believe that we should stop having this negative stigma or dogma around the word failure or loss or fear. Because ultimately, in that fear, in that loss, in that rejection is where we learn. It's where we understand how the world works and how to navigate. A baby doesn't just wake up one day and is able to walk, right? They got to navigate. They got to figure things out. They got to fall sometimes. They got to crawl, get back up again. It's tough, but that's how life is at its simplest. And if we scale it out in the grand scale of things, it's not any different. You may get rejected from that job. You may get rejected from that girl you like. And great, my phone ran out of storage, so I had to go delete some photos and everything. This is why I wanted to use the computer with my $150 camera, which apparently does not have good quality. But anywho, as I was saying, we shouldn't fear rejection. We shouldn't fear failure. We shouldn't feel losing because it's the exact recipe that is needed. It's the exact ingredient that is needed to succeed in life. You know, I have this, I use this, what's it called? In the gym, I have this principle. I always go till failure, no matter what. And I learned this from a couple of influencers or people that I would watch, you know, because I consume gym content too. And I realized that always constantly reaching failure or close to failure is the key to building muscle. Why? Because you are pushing your muscles to the complete failure. What I'm trying to say is when you go till failure, you're pushing your muscles to their absolute limit. You're destroying them, ripping them apart at a microscopic level, and then they rest and they recover, and then you come back and you can do more weight. Literally, in failure is success. This concept is applicable to so many parts of life, and thus it is a crucial part of life. But to go back to the idea of fear, we must face our fears at some point or we will never grow. If you're constantly afraid of something and you never want to go near it or never want to face it, how do you expect to grow as a person in character? Let's say you fear animals. Let's say you fear heights. Let's say you fear crowds or public speaking. I know those are like almost completely different things, but ultimately, if you want to grow as a person, you want to face your fears, you want to be a better person, you have to reject that fear because that fear is connected to your old self, your weaker self. If you want to be a stronger self, you got to be okay to uncomfortable situations, and you have to be willing to face them with honor and bravery. And bravery is a funny thing because bravery doesn't mean that you're doing things and not being scared. I do a lot of things and look confident, but I'm scared out of my mind. I was gonna say something else, but I don't know if I can say that. Maybe I can. I don't know. But it's the fact that you did it anyways, you know? And even if you get rejected, even if you mess up, even if you completely embarrass yourself, the fact that you still did it even when you were scared means that you're learning, means that you're getting better. You're better than you were before because your old self wouldn't even be willing to do what you just did right now. And ultimately, in that failure is where you will find success. And I guess going back to the original question, if you could go back, if you got a second chance, if we had a second chance and you got the chance to do it all over again, would you make the same decisions again? Would you do it twice? I think I've come to peace with the answer, and I say yes, I would do it all again. Even though some things hurt me, some things sucked and wish I never did, but ultimately those things were crucial in my development to become the person I am now. If anything I could change is that I wish I could do more, because time is a crucial part of life and I feel like we constantly take it for granted. We have a finite amount of time on this earth, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. That's why I heard the quote that you should constantly live every day like it's your last, because it very well could be. But even that, I still struggle to live with it day to day because I still have this weird persona in my mind that, oh, there is always tomorrow when there really isn't. Time is the most precious thing ever. You could become the most famous person or this billionaire and so on. But ultimately, it comes back to time. People constantly say, I wish I did it sooner. I wish I did it sooner. And it's the perpetual cycle. I wish I did it sooner. I wish I had more time. And so I think if I had one piece of advice to combat this perpetual cycle is to pretty much make the most of as much time as you have right now. Do what you want to do. Don't waste. And I actually watched another video. It was of a doctor. I don't remember his name, but he spent 10 years trying to become a doctor. And ultimately, instead of committing to that, he wanted to instead commit to content instead and realized that being a doctor was not necessarily what he wanted to be all along. And so was all of that time a waste? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he learned from it. That's probably why he realized that being a doctor wasn't the path for him. But I guess the best piece of advice, as I've said now, is that to live every moment to your fullest and to do what you want to do right now, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And I bet you do not want to spend the little time you have left or the decent amount of time. I mean, human life is like what? 75 years if you're lucky, right? Or something like that, maybe more, something like that. For the average person, of course. Human life is very finite, so I don't think you want to spend that little time you have on this earth to experience and just waste it on something you don't generally love or care about. And that's also why I dread the 9-to-5 life forever. Like, one of my worst nightmares is working at a grocery store when I'm like 50. That's literally like worst nightmare ever. And the reason why is because that isn't a life I want to live. Or being in an office. That is a life that I definitely don't want to live. No offense to the people that are living that life. And so, in my opinion, how I'm planning to combat that is to become someone who's independent, like an entrepreneur, so I can actually take action in my own life and actually have control over my life. No one can fire me. The work is on me. And pretty much what I'm trying to say is literally take action in your own life, take control of your own life, have control in your own life. Don't feel like other people's decisions are influencing what you should do, because ultimately those decisions are yours to make. It's your life. Don't feel like, oh, my parents told me this or my boss told me this. You choose whether you want to go to school. You choose whether you want to go to work. You choose whether you want to go to sleep tonight. You choose whether you want to sit down and actually start getting work done. And you choose whether you want to live that life. It's a choice. Sometimes we psychologically put ourselves in a situation where we feel like we don't have a choice because we dread a future that we don't want to have or at least have to face. But in reality, we have a choice. Oh, I have to stay up and study or my parents are going to be mad at me. You don't have to do that. You could go to sleep and get that rest in, but you want to because you want to avoid the possible future of your parents finding out that you did not get a good grade and you do not want to face those consequences. See, a lot of life is based on fear of something happening. That's why most people would rather go down the safe route, tippy toe through life, all the way till the finish line. Why? Because it's the safest route. Going to college, why? It's the safest route. Which in today's economy, no, it won't, because most jobs for some reason now require 7 years of experience. So newly grads can't even get a job. But that's besides the point. A lot of life is based on reaction. A lot of life is based on possible fears. We need to stop and remove that fear stigma and just commit. The uncertain path has the best outcome. That's why that's why that saying exists. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. People fear the unknown because it's not certain. You can't see it. That's what makes it scary. But that's what life is all about because it's all experience. Why would you want to go down a path that is already certain, that you already know will happen? Why not experience life unknowingly? Kind of like, oh, I've never watched that movie before. Let me go watch it. It'll be fun. Oh, I've never read that book before. Let me give it a shot. I've never tried that drink before. Let me give it a shot. Life should be that constant perpetual cycle of just experiencing, right? So why are we trying to go down the same path that's been repeated multiple times? Why can't we have the original story? Why can't we be different? This world fears difference. It's all superficial, same thing, same thing. Why do we have to be the same? Why can't we all be us, unique? These all relate back to the question of, if you could do it all over again, would you do it twice? In that consideration, if you look at life with the way I just explained it, have you made the decisions so far that you are proud of and would be willing to live with moving forward? Because if the answer is no, then I believe you should take what I'm saying into consideration. But if the answer is yes, then keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. But yeah, that was a pretty good talk. And going back to the gym, I don't know if I either did a voiceover or not, but when I was doing the rows, the back rows, no, not rows, the RDLs, I was using the Versa grips, right? The Versa grips. But when I was doing the Versa grips, my grip was still going out because I have the classic. I'm not rich, okay? I did not get the really good Versa grips. I only got the classic ones, which were still $50. I mean, can you believe that? But still, it worked, but my grip kept on failing. So I think I'm gonna save up for those better Versa grips. But besides that, I think that was a pretty good lift. I only did 3 workouts. Only 3, but I took them to complete failure. I was drenched in sweat. But it was pretty good though. It was a pretty good workout, pretty good lift. Ended it off, went home, got some good food, and yeah. But the thing I want you to reflect on is that same question, because I gave you my answer. But what do you think of it? If you could do it all over again, if you could do it twice, would you make the same decisions or would you change that? Would you change that reality? And that, I actually got that quote from a Drake song. I forgot what the Drake song was, but that's why I like listening to music, because like they be spitting. All right, thank you guys for watching.